Hey guys, David Deutsch here, and if you recall in one of our Learning to See classes that we talked about the action that I use to soften skin, which is that soften skin paint in, where I can go in and actually paint in the desired amount of blur and have a lot of control over it that way. So why don't we go through and demonstrate how to record that action so you can have it on your own and put it in your own action set. So the first thing I want to do is get out of button mode by simply clicking on that little fly out in my actions palette up in the corner. And you can see button mode is already highlighted. So we'll get out of that. And then we are going to create a new action, which is this little kind of folded up piece of paper next to the trash can. And we're going to call it Soft Skin Paint In, and it rhymes. We're going to keep it in our Learning to See action set. If you want to assign it to a function key, you can do so, F2, and that would run that action through F12. And then also you can add Shift and Control to those as well, which will give you a whole bunch of presets that you could have on your keyboard. We're going to leave it blank and just make violet the color of choice today. So we'll click record, and you can see that it created the title there for the action, soft skin paint in, and now our record button is active. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is go into our history. Now remember that everything we do from here on out while we're recording will be recorded in this action. So if you say, what that other document look like behind this, and you close this document, that's going to record in the action. So anything you do, any mouse clicks, anything you touch will be recorded. So just be cognizant of that. Okay, so let's go into our history. And the first thing we want to do is click on the little camera down here, and that's going to create a snapshot of this current history state, or this state. Okay, so we click on that. You see it says snapshot 1. Let's rename that to original image. Okay, there we go. Now, let's do this. Let's go in and click on Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and I usually keep mine around 3, 3.5, just somewhere in this area here, just so it gives us a nice blur on the skin. Remember that we're going to paint it back in, so it doesn't matter too much. You can make it, anything you want. We'll just keep it right around there. Let's go 4. 3.9 just looks great. Okay, there we go. Now we've done a Gaussian blur. Now let's do another snapshot of this so we have a picture of the blur state. Okay, so click on our little snapshot, our little camera, and now snapshot 1 down here again is our blur, and we're going to rename that as well. BLUR. And that's that. So now the next thing that we want to do is click on, so we're going to highlight, see how blur is highlighted. We want to click on our original image. So now it takes us back to the state where there was no blur. And we're going to put our history brush right in that box for the blur. So that's going to tell us that when we choose the history brush, it's going to paint from that state. And that state was the blur that we put on there. So let's do this. Let's put in, let's go back into our actions, and let's insert a stop to remind us. So what we want to do is say paint in desired amount of blur. If you make a mistake, simply select original image or history state. Okay, and we're just going to click on allow continue and click OK. Now that should do it. So the acid test is about to be conducted. All right, let's click on stop. And then as I am doing this, I just want to point out, if you are going to run this action more than one time, you have to go in and delete these history states, and I'll show you why in a minute. So let's do that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. Now let's go back into button mode. Cross your fingers. Soft skin paint in. All right. Paint in desired amount of blur. If you make a mistake, simply select original history state. Okay, continue. Now I've got this. I usually paint in at about 30%, but for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to paint in 100 so you can see it. Wow, look at that. Okay, whoa, right over her eye. Okay, so now we painted in the blur, and we're like, well, that eye really should not be that way. So I'm going to go back into my history state. Remember that little message said, click on original image. So we're going to put our history brush in the original image, and we're going to paint out the blur. So you can see how that just takes it back to that original state, which is why we did a snapshot of that in the first place, just in case we made a mistake. So you can paint out the lips if you want. Okay, so now you can just save the image and continue on your workflow. Now here's what I was talking about. If you were to run this action again, you're going to want to get rid of this, because let's see watch what happens. We hit it, and we have to rename that. So that's going to come up and throw you a snag, because we already have a snapshot called original image, so it's wondering what should you name it. I mean, you could name it something else, but then it's not going to be able to find it when it goes back to look for that original image that you said to look for. So just delete those things when you're running if you're going to run the action again. Whoa, like so. We'll get rid of all those again. We'll do that. Get rid of all of our snapshots. And then again, you want to run it. And there it is. And that's it. So if you do have any questions, feel free to contact me. You can email me, david@davidmdeutsch.com. Follow my blog. Look for me on Facebook. And I look forward to connecting with you in the future. See you soon.